So, in this short but very profound Upanishad, Kaivalya Upanishad, the student is Ashvalayana, approaches the Guru and says, Adhihi Bhagavan, please teach me that Brahma Vidya, which is Nigudham, which is Varishtham, that supreme, secret and sacred knowledge by which one will burn all the papas and by which the wise person will gain that amritatvam, cross over the sorrow. Yeah? This is how the Kaivalya Upanishad begins. Yeah? And Brahmadev, the Guru, his response is the content of this Kaivalya Upanishad of 25 mantras. Now, every Upanishad reveals what the topic is the same, reveals the identity between the Jiva, the individual, and Brahman, the total, yeah, the infinite, limitless Brahma. And gaining the self-knowledge, the Jiva breaks away the limited notions and conclusions, yeah, and abides in that non-dual absolute nature, which is called Kaivalya. So that is the name of the Upanishad. Kaivalya means that which is Kaivalasya Bhavaha, or the one absolute non-dual Atma. Yeah? And then in the last session, we saw Na anyena hetuna, na anya pantha asti. So other than gaining self-knowledge, there is no means to liberation. The Upanishads very clearly point out that. Now, why is knowledge the only means, if we ask? The answer is simple, because ignorance is the cause of samsara. If I take myself to be this limited jiva, I have a limited knowledge and identity. I'm only so much, I'm limited by gender, community, nationality, and limited in time, space. And I don't own up that infinite, limitless Kaivalya Bhavaha. So then what is the remedy? It is this Brahma Vidya, or the teachings of the Upanishads. No? Now, we saw the story, one story I narrated about the missing 10th boy. If you all remember, in Tattvabodha, once upon a time when there were 10 boys, they had to visit their hometown, and the Guru gives permission and they set off on this long journey. Then halfway across, they came across a river which is in flood. So somehow they managed to cross the river and come to the other shore. Then the leader of the boys, what does he do? He lines them all up and begins to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they all begin to lament and suffer. Yeah? Now, what has prevented the 10th boy from the self-recognition? Ignorance. Yeah? Ignorance has kept him away from that peace. Yeah? Then the passerby points out that you are the 10th boy. Yeah? Tat tvam asi. That is the Mahavakya which the Guru tells the suffering Jiva. Then the discovery of that 10th boy, which was always existing, it was never missing, but because of ignorance, I thought I have missed it. Yeah? So then the Guru restores the proper vision and brings the 10th boy back. Not really, but just in terms of knowledge. And hence here also, the mantra 9 and 10, we saw na anyena hetuna, and there is no other path. Yeah? So Brahma Dev's response to Ashvalayana, if you remember in the very first earlier, the mantras, is it Shraddha Dhyanam, Shraddha Bhakti Dhyanam, which is to be understood as Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. Yeah? So up to 10 mantras of this Upanishad is all about Shravanam. Shravanam, what is Shravanam? Shravanam is the systematic, consistent listening to the Shastras, Vedanta Shastras, with a competent guru for a length of time. There is a classic definition. This is stage 1 of Jnana Yoga Sadhana. And this is followed by Mananam, which is the reflection, repeated reflection on what one has heard. Because one will have so many doubts. How can that Jagat Karanam Brahma be my nature? Yeah? So all these doubts, when they come up, we have to reflect, ask questions. This process of removing doubts is called Mananam. Yeah? And then the last stage, Nididhyasanam, is the contemplative stage, where I can say, yes, indeed, now I'm convinced that that Brahma is my intimate and immediate reality. Yeah? I have discovered it and I can own it up. Yeah? Now for a Uttama Adhikari is, like petrol. When petrol meets fire, there is instant explosion. So Uttama Adhikari is an advanced student, well endowed with the sadhana chatushtayam. Just shravanam and the job is done. Gets the message, the vision, and he lives by the vision. But the majority, that is, most of us would fall in the second category, which is Madhyama Adhikari. Madhyama Adhikaris are the mumukshus who need not only Shravanam, but also Mananam and Nididhyasanam, and again, for this vision of the Upanishads to settle down and firmly, without any vagueness and without any doubt. Yeah? So far we have covered. Now, in the 11th mantra, Brahmadev is going to emphasize on Mananam. Yeah? Now, the Shravanam stage, Brahmadev has pointed out how that Nirguna Parabrahma has manifested as his entire Jagat. Now, we saw those mantras, no? Sa Brahma, Sa Shiva, Sendra. Sa Brahma, Sa Shiva, Sendra. The Nirguna Brahma alone is Shiva, Indra, Parama, Kalaha, Agni, Prana, Vishnu. Yeah? And so that Nirguna Parabrahma is referred to as Shiva Tattvam in this Upanishad. Now, Shiva Tattvam, we saw, can be meditated upon as formless. The formless Brahma that we saw in mantra number 6, no? Where we meditated upon Shiva Tattvam in the temple of one's heart as that which is not an object of thought, that which is infinite, which is ever tranquil, which is the cause of the entire Jagat, which has no beginning, no middle, no end. Yeah. Now, this Nirguna Brahma Dhyanam is definitely challenging. Yeah? And hence, Brahmadev switched to Saguna Dhyanam. How can I meditate on Shiva Tattvam with attributes, with a form that is familiar to me? So in Mantra 7, what did we see? The consort of Uma, one who has the 3 eyes, Trilochanam, blue throat, Neelakantham, ever tranquil, and then both will reach the goal of the vision of the Upanishads. Yeah? So these two kinds of meditation also Brahmadev has pointed out. And then we saw the benefits of this knowledge, that having gained this self-knowledge, one crosses over Mrityu. Yeah? Mrityu is death. Yeah? Death means the identification with the Anatma. That is crossed over. Jnatva tam mrityum atyeti. And then mantra 10, we saw the vision again, that the jnani is able to see the Atma, the self in all, and the whole Jagat in the Atma. So both ways. Sarva bhutastam atmanam, sarva bhutani cha atmani. Just like we saw the example of space. How everything, all the galaxies, everything is accommodated in space. And space is also inside the galaxies and the planets and the lokas. So, Atma can be compared to that space-like awareness. And that sampashyan word is important. Sampashyan is by seeing this, by understanding this with the eye of wisdom, jnana chakshu, then Paramam Brahmam Yati. So one gains the limitless Brahma. Yeah? So now we come to the next mantra, where the Kaivalya Upanishad will take us to the next stage, that is Mananam. Yeah? Now Mananam is churning of the mind. So we will chant the mantra first and then look at the meaning. As I said, you can take any form, Indra, Chandra, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, and then do dhyanam on it. Now this mantra 11 is about Omkara Upasana. How can I do the Omkara Upasana, the Om mantra, and meditate on that Shiva Tattva? So let us chant the mantra first. Atmanamarinam kritva, Atmanamarining kritva, Pranavam Chottaranim, Jnana Nirmatanabhyasat, Pashandahati Panditaha, Atmanamarining kritva, Pranavam Chottaranim, Jnana Nirmatanabhyasat, Pashandahati Panditaha. Now, the Upanishads will often use metaphors. Metaphors are examples or illustrations. So here we are going to see the metaphor of the Arani. See that word Arani. I think most of you would understand that. It's there in the regional languages. The Arani is a stick. Tattai. Arani is a stick, and in ancient Vedic times, there would be two blocks of wood. Yeah? And when they are rubbed, there will be a little hollow. And when the wood pieces are rubbed, when the priests did that, by friction, sparks of fire would emerge. And then you would take cotton or grass or whatever, and then light the Yajna-shala, the Yajna Kunda. Yeah? So you just use a matchstick or a candle or or a lighter. That is not allowed. See, Vedic rituals were very, very specific. Even the ghee, you cannot melt it on the gas. You should place it in the sun. It has to be melted in sunlight and then only used for, the ritual. But today, a lot of it has got modified. But here, we have to understand that Arani, there are two Aranis, means two sticks. One is the lower Arani and one is the upper Arani. Yeah? Now, when the two sticks are rubbed, then friction causes the fire, and the fire is used in the Vedic rituals. Yeah? So, using that metaphor, Brahmadev gives the instruction on Mananam. Atmanam Aranim Kritva. Here the mantra on the screen, there's a little spelling mistake. Arinam. Please change it to Aranim. Yeah? So, Atmanam Aranim Kritva. So, making the Atma. What is Atma here? The mind. May one make the mind as the lower Arani. Yeah? Take the mind to be the lower block of wood. And Pranavam cha Uttara Ranim. That is the Arani. The Uttara Arani, the upper log of wood, is Pranava. What is Pranava? Om. Pranava is the name of Om. Yeah? Now, Om is the powerful one-syllable mantra that we all are very familiar with. Omkara, and it comprises of the three aksharas. Akara, Ukara, Makara. And because of Sandhi, the A and U will combine to form O. So, Om, Om, Om. So, generally, we should only chant the Omkara for 3 matras. Yeah? That is 3 kshanams. Om. So, here, what is the metaphor saying? When the mind arani is rubbed, is churned with the Omkara mantra, Om, then the fire of knowledge is generated. Symbolic fire of knowledge is generated, and Jnanagni Sarvakarmani Bhasmasa Kurute Yatha. In the Gita, we have this analogy in chapter 4 that the fire of knowledge burns all the karmas. And that is said in the second line. Jnana nirmatanabhyasat. Jnanam is that Omkara upasana. Nirmatana abhyasat. Yeah? By repeated abhyasa, by churning the mind with the Omkara upasana. Now, Omkara upasana would mean Vedantic inquiry. Now, I inquire into the nature of the self. What is Nitya Vastu, Anitya Vastu? Who is the Drik and who is the Drishya? Am I the experiencer or experienced? So, all this is churning the mind, and which can be done only after Shravanam. So, Jnana Nirmathana Bhyasa. See, Mathanam, we know that Samudra Mathanam. There also we saw that, the mountain was there and Vasuki, the serpent, and then the Devas and Asuras churn the ocean. And here the Mananam is about churning the mind to produce the fire of knowledge. And how are we going to churn the mind? Using Pranava. The mind is churned with the Omkara Upasana, which stands for any Mahavakya, Upadesha. Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasi, and all these Upanishad mantras, when they are reflected upon, that is the churning of the mind. And that produces the fire of knowledge, which Pasham Dahati, Panditaha. So this wise person, Panditaha, burns. Dahati what? Pasham. Pasham means rope. And here it stands for bondage. And some other texts have Papam. So both are same. Papam or Pasham. What is the bondage here? The bondage is the Mamakara, Ahankara, Ragatveshas, the erroneous, these identifications I have. This is who I am. This belongs to me. So this is the erroneous identification with Anatma. That is due to ignorance. And that is burnt by the fire of knowledge, which is generated by the Omkara Upasana in the mind. Yeah? Now, the Omkara, we all know it has 3 aksharas, right? A, U, and Ma. Then the A merges into U, and U into Ma. And then Ma into what? Silence. Huh? Now, if I repeat the mantra, Om, Om. So, between 2 Om repetitions, there is the silence. Yeah? And that silence is the Nirguna Parabrahma. So, the Omkara itself, the 3 aksharas represent what? They represent the 3 states of experience. Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. That is waking, dream, and deep sleep. Or the 3 periods of time, past, present, future. Or the 3 lokas, Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha. Yeah? Or Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. In other words, when I utter Om, then the entire manifest worlds are covered. All that is manifest, all that is experienced, the entire Jagat is covered by uttering Om. But then the sound of Om fades into silence. So that silence is called Amatra in the Mandukya Upanishad. So that Amatra, so why are we discussing this? Because Shastra wants to tell us that you are not the experienced world. You are not what you take yourself to be. You are the 4th. You are Amatra Sakshi Chaitanyam, which is the nature is silence or the witnessing awareness. So that is the significance of this Omkara Upasana. Yeah? Now, Om is such a powerful mantra. When we repeat it a few times, we can see how calm the mind and heart become. Yeah? But this mantra is supposed to generate lot of vairagya, intense vairagya. So hence, the grihasthas are advised not to chant Om. Because, having so many responsibilities and duties, we have to balance the practical life along with the knowledge. So what to do? And that is why we put Om before other mantras. Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. So if you take the Om, that is Nirguna Parabrahma Upasana. If you take Namah Shivaya, it is Saguna Brahma Upasana. So both are there. So that is the greatness of Om, that it covers everything. The manifest worlds and that Avyaktam, imperishable Atma. And it can be used for Nirguna Brahma Dhyanam and as well as Saguna Brahma Dhyanam. So this mantra talks about how to do the Mananam. Mananam is by Vichara, Vedantic Vichara. And when we study an Upanishad or even Gita study is nothing but Vedanta Vichara. Yeah. What is the nature of action? How can one be actionless? What is Tatpadam, Tvam-padam, Asipadam? All this comes under Manana. So with that metaphor of this Arani sticks used to light the Vedic fire, we see that how in this Upanishad, it's talking about the churning of the mind to generate the fire of knowledge which burns the avidya. Yeah. Now let's move on to 12. Now, we have heard a lot about Atma. Atma, Brahma, Brahma, Atma. But what exactly is the relation between Brahma and the individual? Now, each one of us has an individuality. Yeah, there is a gender, there is a community, age, qualifications. So, what is the connection between Atma and the individual? So, that is now highlighted in the next few mantras, where we are going to see the analysis of the three states of experience: waking state, dream, and deep sleep. Yeah. Now, this is nothing new for us. We have done this Avastha Traya Prakriya, where all Tattva Bodha, definitely. And one more place, you may not remember, but I do, Dakshinamurti Stotra. There is one shloka in those 10 shlokas we have covered, where Adi Shankaracharya talks about how to analyze the three states of experience that rotate in our lives every day. We go through all the three states of experience. Yeah. Then who am I? And so that is called Avastha Traya Prakriya, analysis of the three states. So we will start with the Jagrat Avastha, which is explained in Mantra 12. Sa eva maya pari mohitatma. Sa eva maya pari mohitatma. Shariramasthaaya karoti sarvam. Shariramasthaaya karoti sarvam. Sa eva maya pari mohitatma. Shariramasthaaya karoti sarvam. Striyannapānādi vichitra bhogaihi. Striyannapānādi vichitra bhogaihi. Sa eva jagrat paritriptimeti. Sa eva jagrat paritriptimeti. Sa eva maya parimohitatma. Shariramasthaaya karoti sarvam. Striyannapānādi vichitra bhogaihi. Sa eva jagrat paritriptimeti. Saha eva. Who is Saha? Brahma. Who else? Saha eva. So that Nirguna Parabrahma, Saha eva, He alone. What? Maya parimohitatma. That's again a samasa there, a long word. That Brahma is reflected in this individual, this Atma, this Jiva. How? Maya parimohita. Under the spell of Maya. That is deluded by the power of Maya, Shakti. That Brahma has now become this suffering, Sukhi Dukhi Jiva. And how did that happen? Shariram Asthaya. Shariram Asthaya means when one is identified with this body, mind, sense organs. Then that connection, when I take myself to be Anatma. What is Anatma? Anatma is na Atma, that which is the body, which is the mind, sense organs. So these instruments, I think this is who I am. We have seen this. I don't take myself to be the table or the flower. I don't take myself to be my car or my home. But when it comes to the body, do I not say my body, my mind, this is who I am, Mr. So-and-so, qualified person, professor, retired, senior citizen. So that is called Shariram Asthaya, identification with the bodies. What are the three bodies? Sthula Shariram, gross body, Sthula Shariram, subtle body, which is the mind, and causal body. Causal body is Karana Shariram, the cause of the other two bodies. Yeah? So when one is identified with these instruments, these bodies, then what? Karoti Sarvam. One performs activities. I want that luxury car. I want to travel. Yeah. I want to, give this interview. So many activities one will have, desire-based activities, in order to fulfill them. For whom? For the body, mind, sense organs. Yeah? So, you see, that Brahma has become this Jiva. Yeah? Now, we know that the infinite Brahma is reflecting in every one of us. Yeah? Otherwise, we would not be sentient, right? Now, how am I able to talk and you're able to listen? Yeah? Because the Brahma, the limitless Brahma, is reflecting through the instruments. But then what else happens? The ahankara arises. There is a notion that this is who I am. And that is called Shariram Asthaya, that identification with the bodies. And why that happens? Because of Maya. Maya parimohitatma. Karoti sarvam. Here, this classic example will be given about the Rajju Sarpaha. Rajju Sarpaha is the rope snake. In the Vedanta Shastras, this is called the stork example. And let me explain that first. See, when I am walking on a street where the light is dim, yeah, where it is twilight, dim light, then I step on a rope. Step on a rope. I can't see it clearly. Yeah? Then what do I think? I think, oh my God, it's a snake. And I have stepped on a snake and I begin to perspire and sweat and there are fear symptoms. And then my heart is palpitating, BP shoots up. Then what happens? A passerby comes, or maybe my friend who's with me flashes a torchlight. Then what do I see? No snake. There is a rope. Yeah. But in the dim light, I took the rope to be the snake. Yeah. Now this example is famous across the Vedanta Shastras. You cannot escape this. You have to understand it sometime or the other. It is there in Brahma Sutras. In fact, you won't believe it, when we did Brahma Sutras, 3 months we were just listening to Rajju Sarpa, Rajju Sarpa, Rajju Sarpa. Now let me explain this example. Now, why did I mistake the rope for the snake? Because the darkness had covered it, right? I could not see clearly. So once the rope was covered or hidden, then my mind imagined or projected a snake. And so Shankaracharya says, this is what is happening in our daily life. Atma is covered, is hidden, well concealed, but I take myself to be this and that. Yeah, there are projections, conclusions about myself. So this is called the twofold effect of Maya. Maya is another thing which is most mysterious, anirvachaniya. Means we cannot really put our finger on it. So Maya will conceal the nature of Atma, and then that is called avarana, the cover. Yeah? And then Maya, second power is vikshepa. Vikshepa means I will imagine all kinds of things. This may have happened to you at home. Sometimes we misplace the phone. It's happened with me many times. What happens? Some book or some cloth has covered it, right? And I'm searching the whole house for that mobile phone. And I think I've lost it. Then I begin to recall, oh, I went shopping, maybe I kept it in that market, in the mall, in the car. But what has happened? There was an avaranam, cover, which has covered the object, but the mind starts projecting. Somebody stole it? Was it the maid? Did I leave it somewhere? Did I drop it somewhere? And then after some time, with a cool and calm mind, I come back to the same room and there it is, under the book or under the cloth. So this is called the Shakti Dvayam, twofold powers of Maya, Avaranam and projection. Avaranam, Vikshepa. Avaranam, Vikshepa. So this is why Brahma, how does Brahma become the suffering jiva? Because of under the spell of Maya. And under the spell of Maya, when I am identified with my body and mind, karoti sarvam. I have all kinds of desires and I want to fulfill them. And what kind of desires? Second line, Stri, Anna, Panadi. Stri means woman. Yeah? In Sanskrit, Annapana is food and drinks. Vichitra bhogaihi. So then the mind will have all kinds of desires. Now, Stri, we have to take it for relationships. I want to enjoy sense gratification through relationships, or want exotic gourmet food and drink. Then Vichitra bhogaihi means we can extend it to I want that luxury car, the latest Samsung Galaxy. So many countless desires. Why? Because I have identified with Shariram. So karoti sarvam. One pursues activities under the spell of Maya, and the Maya has covered my true nature of Atma and led me to believe that I am this jiva. And hence there is karma, karma phalam, punya papam, janma. Then last quarter, saha eva jagrat paritriptim eti. Saha eva is again Brahma. So that Brahma, who is the kshetrajnaha, who is limitless, has now become this limited jiva, individual. And this individual wants the paritriptim. Paritriptim means sense gratification or fulfillment. Yeah? So I try to become fulfilled by pursuing a desire-based activities. When Jagrat Avastha. So you see that word Jagrat sitting in the last quarter of this mantra. In the Jagrat, in the waking state, when one is identified with the body, mind, sense organs, then one performs activities which are to do with relationships and food and drink and various desires of all kinds, and one wants the tripti, one wants the fulfillment. And this is happening under the spell of Maya. So due to this avidya Maya, I lose sight of the kshetrajnaha. Kshetrajnaha is the knower of the field. Whereas my body, mind, sense organs is kshetram. And so we have seen many times that the experiencer is not the experienced. The drik, the seer, is never the seen. And Satyam Atma is never the Mithya Anatma. So this is the Viveka that the Upanishad wants us to develop, yeah, with the eye of wisdom. Now let's move on to, so this mantra 12 has covered what? The first state of the three experiences, Jagrat Avastha, the waking state. You know, how the jiva under the spell of Maya is trying to fulfill all the desires because of this identification with Anatma. Now 13 will cover the other two states. Which are the other two states? Swapna, dream, and Sushupti, which is deep sleep. Let us chant the mantra first. Swapne sajiva sukha dukkha bhokta. Swapne sajiva sukha dukkha bhokta. Swamayaya kalpita jiva loke. Swamayaya kalpita jiva loke. Sushupti kale sakale viline. Sushupti kale sakale viline. Tamodhibhuta sukha rupameti. Tamodhibhuta sukha rupameti. Again we have Saha Jiva. Yeah? Swapne. Swapne means in the dream state. Yeah? During the dream, Saha Jivaha. So that Jivaha, so that individual becomes what? Sukha Dukha Bhokta. Becomes the enjoyer, Bhokta. See, in the waking state, when we were identified with all the three bodies, you know, what are the three bodies? Gross, subtle, and causal. So all the three bodies one is identified with. So that's called the expanded me, personality, because everything is available. No? The sense organs pick up the data, present it to the mind analyzes the data, and takes a response. So I'm fully awake. And so this jiva in the waking state is called Vishwaha. Vishwa. But now what happens in the dream? No? When I'm tired of working and doing karma yoga and everything during the day, I fall asleep. First I have to fall asleep. Then from the sleep, the mind will wake up and then dream happens. It's all very well documented that our dreams at night are just, in a few minutes, our dreams will cross yugas, and there'll be travel and all kinds of situations. I may be a Swamini in the waking state, but I may be the Prime Minister in the dream state. And if I'm blind in the waking state, I'm able to see in the dream state. And if I'm being denied a visa in the waking state, in the dream state, I can go to any country. No COVID restrictions, no visa required, any yugas. But there is a peculiar logic. Now, why is that so? Because in the waking state, what has happened? Everything is being recorded. Yeah, like right now, I'm recording the Zoom session. Every time there is a class, record. So recording can only happen in the waking state, Jagrat. So the mind is recording. Oh, mango milkshake, recorded. I met a dear friend, recorded. Telephone conversation, recorded. I got angry with my boss, recorded. Then in the dream, what happens? A dream world is generated, dream objects, dream experiences, dream food. So dream subject, object experiences. How do they come? There is no karta in dream. And they are projected out of memory. Yeah? So all that which was recorded in the waking state now becomes the material out of which the dream world is projected. Yeah? And hence, one says that even in the dream, we are exhausting karma phala. If it is a pleasant dream, if I won a lottery or, if I had darshan of Puja Swamiji, in the dream. Sometimes it happens, no? That is called punyam. But if I'm having a nightmare, that is called papa karma. So the vasanas in the dream state, they are being experienced, and hence sukha, dukkha, bhokta. So the jiva is in the dream state is a bhokta, not a karta, because there is no deliberate action. It is all a projection of the mind. And hence, this dreamer is called Taijasaha. Then how is the dream projected? Swamayaya. Same logic which I told earlier. See, Maya has two powers, I told you. Concealment and projection. Avarana and Vikshepa. So in the dream, what happens? Do I know I'm dreaming? No. I'm happily dreaming. I don't know that I am the waker who has fallen asleep. So there is avarana. And then all kinds of projections. I can assume any form in the dream, go to any yoga, do anything. In fact, it said that the desires one cannot fulfill in the Jagrata Avastha, one can easily fulfill in the dream. One can enjoy a fulfillment of desires in the dream, which one could not in the waking state. Yeah. So, Swamayaya, again by the power of the mind, which conceals and projects, what happens? Kalpita Jiva Loke. There is a whole loka there, which is projected, Kalpita, for the Jiva. Yeah. So, this is the dream analogy, where we see that it's a replay. Yeah? Now, I'm recording the Zoom sessions, and later on, we will replay it also. Yeah. That is the dream stage. In the dream stage, the vasanas are being replayed, which was recorded in the waking state. Yeah. And so the Shastra asks us, are you the waker or the dreamer? Neither. So there is a story about King Janaka, the great philosopher King Janaka. He asks this sage Ashtavakra. Ashtavakra is a great jnani. He says, last night I dreamt that I was a beggar. Yeah? But see, today I am standing in front of you. I am the king of Mithila, King Janaka. So which is true? Am I the beggar of the dream or the king of this Jagrat waking state? Then Ashtavakra says, you are neither, my dear king. Not my dear king, my dear Janaka. You are neither. You are the truth of both. You are the source of both. Yeah. How is that? Because in the waking state also, the life is a play of the mind. For Vedanta students, we have to understand that the world does not exist independently of my mind. The world is experienced in my mind. If I take, let me take a pot. So if I have this pot, now this looks outside me, right? But Vedanta will say, no, the light is reflecting off the pot, reaching my eyes, and then the data is presented to the mind, and in the mind there is a pot vritti. That is called vritti jnana. So the pot is experienced in my mind as a thought. And you take anything in the world, a person, a flower, an experience, it is there in the form of understanding in the mind. So Vedanta says that the pot is not outside you, it is experienced in the mind. And hence Ramana Maharishi also says that the dream, the dream that you lived for 160 years on planet Mars, that would have lasted only 3 minutes from the standpoint of the waking stage. Maybe somebody recorded the time, just 3 minutes over and you dreamt all this. Similarly, similarity is that the waking stage is also a long dream. So Ramana Maharishi says it is a Dirgha Swapna. It's a long dream. Yeah? Which, we have to understand it as in the mind, the world is happening or experienced in the mind. And hence I'm imagining that I am this body, mind, sense complex, and I need this to be happy. I need to go there. I need to do this. Karoti Sarvam of the previous mantra. So this line, the first line in mantra 13 talks about the dream state. And the dreamer is called what? Taijasa. Now let's look at the second line. It's going to talk about the Sushupti Avastha. Sushupti Kale, that is in the Sushupti Avastha. Sushupti means deep sleep. Now, what happens in the Sushupti Kale? Sakale Viline. Everything gets resolved, folds back. See, Jagrat Avastha, we were identified with all the three bodies. In the Swapna Avastha, we were identified only with Sukshma and Karana. See, Karana is always there. Okay. Causal body, what is the causal body? Ignorance. That is the seed, Sanchita Karmas, by which we are born again and again. So, ignorance is the Karana Sharira. Yeah? Now, in the dream, one is identified with the mind alone, not with the body. The body is lying on the bed. Now, what happens in deep sleep, Sushupti Kale? Even the mind is switched off. Sakale Viline. Now, if the mind is switched off, what happens? There is no time, there is no space. I'm not a mother or a daughter or a boss or an employee. I have no muscle pain, joint pain, toothaches. I am asangaha. Absolutely no problem, no duties, no responsibilities, no attachments, no confusions. Everything is folded back. Yeah? And that is described as tamobhibhutaha. Abhibhutaha means overwhelmed, blanketed. So it is a state. It is an experience. Sleep is an experience where everything is covered by tamas. Tamas means ignorance, the darkness of ignorance. Yeah. That means which body is now available? Only Karana Sharira. So in the deep sleep state, I am in the Karana Shariram, which means I am in the Anandamaya Kosha. No? See, when we are tired, there is nothing more delicious than sleep. So everybody loves to get a good night's sleep. And if sleep did not intervene between 2 days, we would be so tired the next day. We cannot continue our karmas. And then we see that sleep is such a divine intervention because I'm blissfully ignorant. Yeah, there is an experience of anandam because there is no struggle, no effort, and there is no kartritva, no bhoktritva. I mean, bhoktritva little bit is there. There is the ananda experience. Yeah? And that is the state of deep sleep, which is blanketed over. Yeah? Anandam. Now, the somewhat like, in the computer, we have this hibernate mode, yeah, sleep mode. Now, that means the data is not lost, right? It's just in sleep mode. And on waking up, what do I say? I slept well. Yeah, I don't know, but I slept well, or I did not sleep well. Both are possible. So, that is why, when somebody has gone through a very tough time, let's say tragedy or a calamity, then the doctors, they want the patient to sleep. Because when one sleeps only, then there is so much healing happens, tissue repair happens, then all the data that was recorded and replayed in the waking and dream states, they're all archived. Everything is classified in the subconscious mind. And also there is waste elimination. So you see, so many physiological functions happen. But when the sleep is induced artificially by tranquilizers and, sleep tablets, this is not going to happen. So last word here, Sukha Rupam Eti. Eti means one attains, one gains. Who gains? The sleeper. The sleeper gains the anandam or sukham. Because there are no relationships, there's no struggle, no samsara, and in fact, there is an experience of anandam in deep sleep. But the only problem is, it is a passive anandam. I don't experience the anandam actively. Yeah, I'm lying there blissfully unaware, ignorant. Then on waking up, I of course have an experience of being recharged and fit for the day. But I cannot recall what happened. Yeah. So now the Shastra analyzes the three states, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. And by the way, the sleeper has also got a name called Prajnaha. Yeah. So Vishwaha, Taijasaha, Prajna. So Shastra says, analyze your life. The three states are rotating every day. You're going through all the three states of experience. Are you the waker or the dreamer or the sleeper? And the answer is obvious, neither of the three. Because Vishwaha, from Vishwaha, it negates the other two. Prajnaha negates Vishwa and Taijasaha. Taijasaha negates Vishwaha and Prajna. So, if if I am Vishwaha, it should continue in all the states. So Shastra says you are none of these three states, you are Avasthatraya Sakshi. Avasthatraya Sakshi means you are the Drik. Yeah? You are the experiencer of all the three states. All the three states, and you are the witness of all the three states. And all these states are happening to Anatma. With the body, mind, sense organs, but not to you. You are the eternal witness. So this is the prakriya here. One Acharya said, you are the super waker. So you see, supposing in dream I'm having a nightmare, then what is the solution? To wake up. Only on waking up from the bad dream will I be free from the suffering of the dream. So the Shastra says, if there is suffering in the waking dream, in the dream of life, then what is the solution? To wake up from the dream of life, from this dirgha swapna, from this longer dream that is called life. And what does that mean? Waking up from the dream of life? Gaining self-knowledge. Yeah. So that self-knowledge is called turiyam. The three states of experience is beautifully analyzed in another Upanishad called the Mandukya Upanishad. The Mandukya Upanishad is even shorter, just 12 mantras, but very profoundly it analyzes all the three states of experience and says, you are the constant, invariable turiyam which is running through the three states. In the Bhagavad Gita, we saw that comparison. Sutre maniganaha iva. If you have this mala, like this mala, we see the beads. But do I see the thread also? The thread is hidden. Yeah? The thread runs through all the beads. So if the three states of experiences are three beads, then what is it that connects all the three? That is who you really are. Yeah? And that is the Avasthatraya Sakshi or Drik or Chaitanyam or Atma. Yeah? So this is the kind of mananam that Brahmadev is asking Ashwalayana to do. So today we saw these three mantras. I think we'll stop here. These three mantras. Mantra 11 talked about mananam on the Omkara Upasana or Vedanta Vichara. And when we constantly reflect on these Vedanta Mahavakyas or do Omkara Upasana and analyze, like just now we did, ask yourself, am I the waker? Am I the sleeper? Am I the dreamer? Or am I none of them or all of them? So this kind of inquiry is called mananam. Yeah? So with that arani, the the wood pieces which generate the fire, we saw that mananam is going to generate the fire of knowledge, which burns the ignorance away. Then the Jagrat Avastha, we saw how under the power or spell of Maya, one chases the objects of pleasure, seeking gratification in the Jagrat Avastha. Because Tatta Bhokta, Sukhi Dukhi Jivaha. All this springs from avidya. So Maya can be taken as avidya for the jiva. See, Maya has many meanings, When we see the entire beauty and diversity of the creation, that is Maya. Yeah? That is the Maya of Ishvara. But the Maya that clouds my mind, conceals the nature of Atma and pushes me to chase Anatma. That is called avidya Maya. So we have to understand the Maya in the right context. Then in mantra 13, we saw the other two states covered, which are the dream state and the deep sleep state. And so yat sapna jagar sushuptima vaiti nityam tat brahma nishkalamaham nacha bhuta sanghaha. Pratasmarana shloka, the very first shloka Adi Shankaracharya says, I am the constant, invariable, running through these three states which are happening in succession. And I am not this aggregate of Panchamahabhutas. I am none of the bodies. I am Avasthatraya Sakshi. So we will stop here for today and let us chant all the mantras again. And Sunita can chant after me. So Sunita, are you able to unmute?
Yes, Amma.
As I said, these mantras of the Kaivalya Upanishad are supposed to be very, very healing, and it is considered a prayaschitta karma also. It removes the, has the power to remove the papa karma. Om Athashvalayano Bhagavantam Parameshtinam.
Om Athashvalayano Bhagavantam Parameshtinam. Upasametyo Vacha.
Adhihi Bhagavan Brahma Vidyam Varishtham.
Adhihi Bhagavan Brahma Vidyam Varishtham.
Tada Sadbhis Sevyamanam Nigudham.
Tada Sadbhis Sevyamanam Nigudham.
Yaya Chirat Sarva Papam Vyapohya.
Yaya Chirat Sarva Papam Vyapohya.
Parat Param Purusham Yati Vidvan.
Parat Param Purusham Yati Vidvan.
Tasmai Sahovacha Pitamahascha.
Tasmai Sahovacha Pitamahascha.
Shraddha Bhakti Dhyana Yogadavaihi.
Shraddha Bhakti Dhyana Yogadavaihi.
Karmana na prajaya dhanena.
Na karmana na prajaya dhanena.
Yagi naike amritatvamanashuhu.
Yage naike amrutatvamanashuhu.
Parena nakam nihitam guhayam.
Parena nakam nihitam guhayam.
Vibrajate yatyatayo vishanti.
Vibhrajate yadyatayo vishanti.
Vedanta vijnana sunischitarthaha.
Vedanta Vijnana Sunischitarthaha.
Anyasa yogat yataya shuddha sattvaha.
संन्यासयोगाद्यतयः शुद्धसत्त्वाः
ते ब्रह्मलोकेषु परान्तकाले
ते ब्रह्मलोकेषु परान्तकाले
अनामृता परिमुच्यन्ते सर्वे
परामृताः परिमुच्यन्ति सर्वे
विविक्तदेशे च सुखासनस्थः
विविक्तदेशे च सुखासनस्थः
शुचिः समग्रीव शिरः शरीरः
शुचिः समग्रीव शिरः शरीरः
अत्याश्रमस्थः सकलेन्द्रियाणि
अत्याश्रमस्थः सकलेन्द्रियाणि
निरुद्य भक्त्या स्वगुरुं प्रणम्य
निरुध्य भक्त्या स्वगुरुं प्रणम्य
हृत्पुण्डरीकं विरजं विशुद्धम्
पुण्डरीकं विरजं विशुद्धम्
विचिन्त्य मध्ये विशदं विशोकम्
विचिन्त्य मध्ये विशदं विशोकम्
अचिन्त्यमव्यक्तमनन्तरूपम्
अचिन्त्यमव्यक्तमनन्तरूपम्
शिवं प्रशान्तममृतं ब्रह्मयोनिम्
शिवं प्रशान्तममृतं ब्रह्मयोनिम्
आदिमध्यान्तविहीनमेकम्
तथादिमध्यान्तविहीनमेकम्
विभुं चिदानन्दमरूपमद्भुतम्
विभुं चिदानन्दमरूपमद्भुतम्
सहायं परमेश्वरं प्रभुम्
उमासहायं परमेश्वरं प्रभुम्
त्रिलोचनं नीलकण्ठं प्रशान्तम्
त्रिलोचनं नीलकण्ठं प्रशान्तम्
आत्मा मुनिर्गच्छति भूतयोनिम्
ध्यात्वा मुनिर्गच्छति भूतयोनिम्
समस्तसाक्षिं तमसः परस्तात्
समस्तसाक्षिं तमसः परस्तात्
स ब्रह्मा स शिवसेन्द्रः
स ब्रह्मा स शिवसेन्द्रः
सोऽक्षरः परमस्वराट्
सोऽक्षरः परमस्वराट्
स एव विष्णुः स प्राणः
स एव विष्णुः स प्राणः
स कालोऽग्निः स चन्द्रमाः
स कालोऽग्निः स चन्द्रमाः
स एव सर्वं यद्भूतम्
स एव सर्वं यद्भूतम्
यच्च भव्यं सनातनम्
यच्च भव्यं सनातनम्
ज्ञात्वा तं मृत्युमत्येति
ज्ञात्वा तं मृत्युमत्येति
अन्यः पन्था विमुक्तये
नान्यः पन्था विमुक्तये
सर्वभूतस्थमात्मानं
सर्वभूतस्थमात्मानं
सर्वभूतानि चात्मनि
सर्वभूतानि चात्मनि
सम्पश्यन् ब्रह्म परमम्
सम्पश्यन् ब्रह्म परमम्
याति नान्येन हेतुना
याति नान्येन हेतुना
आत्मानमरणिं कृत्वा
आत्मानमरणिं कृत्वा
प्रणवं चोत्तरारणिम्
प्रणवं चोत्तरारणिम्
ज्ञाननिर्मथनाभ्यासात्
ज्ञाननिर्मदनाभ्यासात्
पाशं दहति पण्डितः
पाशं दहति पण्डितः
स एव माया परिमोहितात्मा
स एव माया परिमोहितात्मा
शरीरमास्थाय करोति सर्वम्
शरीरमास्थाय करोति सर्वम्
त्र्यन्नपानादिविचित्रभोगैः
त्र्यन्नपानादिविचित्रभोगैः
स एव जाग्रत् परितृप्तिमेति
स एव जागृत् परितृप्तिमेति
स्वप्ने स जीवः सुखदुःखभोक्ता
स्वप्ने स जीवः सुखदुःखभोक्ता
स्वमायया कल्पितजीवलोके
स्वमायया कल्पितजीवलोके
सुषुप्तिकाले सकले विलीने
सुषुप्तिकाले सकले विलीने
तमोभिभूतः सुखरूपमेति
तमोभिभूतः सुखरूपमेति।
ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ तत्सत्।